first off, I'd like to say thank you. This is my boy Dustin Radke. Met him here in Hawaii, and I'm glad that you can do this interview.
Of course. I'm happy to be here.
Well,
I mean, on the North Shore.
all right.
What?
I'm gonna trim this video as
Okay, cool.
well. All right. First things first. Dustin, I'm aware that you grew up with 3 siblings, all of which boys. You and your brothers attended private school growing up, but you were the only one to attend co-ed high school. How do you think that impacted your life different from the rest of your siblings?
Well, because I was surrounded by such a strong male presence growing up, you know, having 3 brothers and then of course my dad. And I have a mom, but we did Boy Scouts. I went to a all-boys school when I lived in England, and I was always in all-boys sports teams and stuff. So when I wanted to go to high school, my older brother chose an all-boys school, but I wanted to go to a co-ed school because I wanted a female presence, I guess. And I think it was good. I think it was beneficial to be around girls a lot every day, obviously, because I noticed that a lot of my friends and my brothers that went to all boys schools, when they saw girls on the weekends, at parties or whatever, it was a big event, and it was they were looking for girlfriends or to hook up or whatever. But since I was always around girls, it wasn't a big thing, and I had a lot of female friends because of that as well, and I think that helped me.
Okay.
With a lot of seeing different points of view.
So it changed up your perception of going to school in general. You got a full gender, view compared to your siblings.
Yeah,
More
I think so.
range aspects of life, everything just enhanced.
Yeah, I think it was beneficial to not be surrounded by so much testosterone and ultra masculinity and stuff. People were definitely free to be whoever they wanted to be at my high school, and I don't know if that was because there were girls and boys there or because of a different reason, but I noticed that at my brother's school, it was an all-boys Catholic school, and it was definitely more traditional, and I noticed that to be in things like the theater program or choir or whatever, it was very looked down upon. I remember my brother once told me that he wanted to join the the fall play one year, but he didn't because he knew he would get bullied, and that really upset me. And I think that might have had something to do with the ultra masculinity at the school.
Well, my friend Dustin, I know you were migrating all around your whole life. You were born here in Hawaii, migrated to the UK, migrated to DC, migrated to Missouri, and after attaining your degree at Mizzou, continued migrating. Dustin, would you tell us where you've been employed since graduation and what it has taught you about gender?
Totally. So for 2 summers during college, I worked at a Boy Scout camp in the Florida Keys, near Key West, and I think that was definitely that was a growing experience and very beneficial because the Florida Keys is a very progressive place with a lot of gender fluidity, especially in Key West, but pretty much all around the Florida Keys. And when I was there, I noticed that you were definitely free to be whoever you wanted to be. The LGBTQ community is very strong in the Florida Keys, especially in Key West, and I didn't think it was weird at all to wear women's clothing or to wear gender neutral clothing, and I had a lot of friends who did the same thing, and I think that definitely, especially coming from I would say a generally traditional or conservative place like Missouri, that switched up not switched up my views, but I think kind of furthered my views on gender and what it meant to be gender normal or and gender fluid. Yeah, living before, and then of course now I live in Hawaii, and it's another pretty liberal, progressive place. So it's kind of nice and freeing to be in that an environment like this as well.
Nice. Well, since you've migrated a lot, Dustin, we mentioned that earlier, what do you think migration has done to impact your necessarily gender focused, but like migration. How has that changed your life?
I think because I migrated a lot as a kid, you know, from moving around one place to another every few years, and then now that I've continued to do it, I think that I kind of see the world as like definitely a thing to be seen and to be experienced. I want to travel and migrate as often and as much as possible throughout my life, and I don't know if I would have that. I have, if I didn't like move around so much as a kid, I have like a passion for traveling and seeing like cool places and different places and living in a culture that's different from, you know, like a normal American culture. So I think that migrating around when I was a kid definitely like shaped my views on that.
Okay. And to conclude this interview, so you're leaving Hawaii, right? We are leaving Hawaii. I'm doing my thing. I want to know what your thing is. What's your plan? What are you going to do next?
So, when I leave Hawaii in like a week, less than a week, I am moving to Denver, Colorado, and so migrating once again. My parents don't live in St. Louis, Missouri anymore, so they live in California, migrating again. So I'm gonna go live in Denver, and then I'll see where the wind takes me, I guess. I don't know. I definitely want to keep traveling and moving around as much as possible. It's kind of interesting because when you kind of like grow up moving around a lot, and then like when your parents don't necessarily live in the place where you predominantly grew up, you kind of like lose a sense of home, like being a place. Instead, perhaps it's people or like values. Hey, buddy. But yeah, so I mean, going to Denver and gonna be moving around as much as possible. Hopefully, maybe come back to Hawaii, maybe go back to Florida in the future at some point. Definitely want to live abroad. I think I would love to live in England again, see what that's like as an adult.
Well, that's great. That's all I had question for you today. I'd love to, spend my time with you here in Hawaii, and I hope we cross paths once